We're like our own individual bubbles that float around and engage with other bubbles. Our own bubble determines the way we communicate with and perceive the world. Sometimes we're forced to frequently be around other bubbles that we don't necessarily jive with, either through work or school or even family. When this happens, it's a culture shock, and the way I see it, we deal with it in two different ways, either with resistance or with adaption. Given the diverse population of the military, culture shock happens frequently. Interestingly, there were many people that I disliked in the military that I eventually came to appreciate after deployment. And I often wonder what the mechanism was there that allowed that to happen. Was it because I eventually understood their bubble? Or is there something about sharing a commitment to a common goal that facilitates a shared understanding and rapport? Culture shock happened to me all over again when I got out. I remember starting audio engineering school in New York City 2 months after I discharged from the Army. I hulkingly sat down in my classroom chair and looked around the room feeling pretty disconnected from the rest of the class. And that's where I met Stu. We just so happened to sit next to each other, and he was the other veteran in the class. And I remember having him there was definitely a major help as I transitioned back to civilian life. I reached out to him to do this episode, and he describes a cultural clash of his own when he deployed.
My name is Stuart Campbell. I live in New York City, New York, born and raised here. From the jungle, the concrete jungle. Now I'm an audio engineer. I work for a media advertisement company, doing commercials and different shit like that. Basically, yeah, that's it. I just do audio, and at this point now, I'm kind of like a consultant for different companies, Verizon.
That's fucking sick. I didn't know you started getting into that.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird little transition. I met this guy who he was just listening to some of my music. I was playing some music, and he has a media agency, and he just asked me to come on board.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I think my first account was Purina Cat Chow.
Holy shit.
And I was working on that for a while, and that one got done, and he was just like, yo, man, like, that was kind of like
we really love what you did with the cats.
Yeah, I was a hired gun, bro. And after that, they gave me a job, and that's where I've been. It's been like 5 years now, 6 years. It's been cool.
Right on, man. And then what do you do if you're in your personal life?
Where, like, I think I'm still simple. Like, after my military career, like I never really found that camaraderie that I had with people in the military. So it's just like, I drink, but I don't really go to bars. That shit is boring. Like, it's like, because I think I got burnt out when I was in the military. We fucking drank all the time and just did weird shit when we had the time. So it was just like, now I'm burnt out and I'm just getting older. It's like, fuck it. I was in the United States Army. I was assigned my first assignment, 18th Airborne Corps in Fort Bragg, Gag and Dragon, and 1st 311th Battalion. My initial MOS was a 63 Bravo, which is a light wheel mechanic. They kind of consolidated it to, I think it's 91 Bravo, and that was my official MOS. But when I got assigned, when I first deployed, they didn't need mechanics. So I got switched.
They switched you to what after that?
So I still classified as a mechanic, but I never touched a wrench. My entire military career, I never touched a wrench.
Holy shit.
Outside of training. I went into the military when I was 17, so 2005, and I got out officially 2016, and it was it was a nice little long ride. Like, it was cool. It was cool. I had a good time. I deployed twice. I went once to Afghanistan and once to Iraq. Iraq was 2007, 2008, because I was in theater for election night, or so when Barack Obama got elected, I was in theater. So 2007, 2008. And then my second deployment was 2011, 2012.
I deployed 2011, 2012 too in Afghanistan, though.
Right.
Wait, were you there in 2011 in
Yep.
Afghanistan or Iraq?
I was in Afghanistan. I was in Camp Leatherneck,
Oh, that's in Kandahar, right?
just outside. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Actually, it is. Yeah.
I didn't
And
know we were there at the same time. That's interesting.
yeah, I was at that time though. I was there as an instructor. Um, my unit, we did like PRT training. So all these provinces, we would go to different provinces and train different people, either the Afghan army, or for the most part it was U.S. Air Force or Navy. The what's the Air Force? They're the people who got guns. It's a special force. It's not special forces. It's security forces. Yeah. So I used to train them on KD ranges, known distance. I was small arms, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right on. Yeah, Air Force has like combat controllers and something else too that are combat controllers are badass.
Yeah, like they're like the equivalents of like special forces or some shit like that. It's
Yeah,
like each branch have, except for like I want to say the Coast Guard have like a special forces or Navy SEAL or that type person.
yeah. Right
Yeah,
on. Um,
yeah.
so any stories from either of your deployments that kind of ring a bell to you?
I mean, I have an ironic story,
Yeah,
kind of funny in some ways. My first deployment, uh, going to Iraq, when we were going through our training and gearing up to go, like we had a lot of new people get sandwiched into this unit. It was a couple units at once, and we were all going together. And I can remember my roommate. I thought he was the most racist piece of shit in the world, bro. Like I thought he was an asshole. And at that point in time, my first deployment, I was small minded, man. And it's funny coming from New York. It's a melting pot. So I was small minded. I was very like in a niche. Like if I didn't really know you, didn't really want to talk to you type deal. And his name was Lynn, and they paired us up, and he was a smart ass. Like I was always super confident in myself too.
wait, is Lynn an
Like,
Asian man?
nah, he wasn't. That's the funny thing. He was white. He's white boy. Nah, he wasn't Asian at all. And
Okay.
it's funny. His name is Jeremy Lin.
Oh,
And
okay, okay.
I used to thought that was super ironic. Um, yeah, with the basketball player, but yeah, Jeremy Lin, like he's just an asshole. Like, and so they ironically put us in the same fucking bunk together because we were always bickering, always damn near about to fight. And one day we fought, and they literally just let us fight. Me and him, we fought for a solid 30 minutes, like going at it. And we whooped each other's asses, like bruised, black eyes, like it was funny. Anyway, we kind of got like we never really got too close at that point, but we deployed
That is
and
funny, real quick, because I remember that was almost like the remedy to kind of squash shit. Was just like,
let them duke it out,
yeah,
man.
until they're so exhausted that you
And it's
just
just
can't
like,
even be
all right,
mad.
now what? Like now what? Like what are we fighting for?
Yeah,
And it's funny how ironic you become really close after that, because it's just like I you I never took the time to get to know him.
yeah.
Like I never took the time to get to know him. Um, but we deployed, and I remember our first time we took contact. So when we deployed, like I said, I was a mechanic, and I'm all happy. Like, we're going to the motor pool. I don't got to deal with this bullshit. I'm just here for a year, and I'm leaving. And I got to the motor pool, and they didn't need any more mechanics. And I was a tri-carrier, so I was I qualified on the 249, the 50 cal. I mean, I had everything. So I was a tri-carrier. I was a 249 carrier, a M4 carrier, and I had the sidearm, the 9 mil. And
Damn.
yeah,
Ready to
so
rob a fucking bank with that shit.
ready to rob a bank, like we was ready. But we went in. So my first time taking contact, what we used to do, we used to be convoy escort. From I was we would start from Balad, so JBB. We would go from JBB to like Baghdad, and and they had this route, what they call Route One, where we like it always took hot. Like, it was always hot. It was never a dull moment. And I never knew why. I never knew why. It just didn't make sense. You would hear so much stories about it, but it never makes sense. So my first time, we're out there, and I'm fucking nervous. I'm shaking like a leaf, bro. Like, it was because I'm like super anxious at the same time. My head is on a swivel, and I'm afraid, and
And were you on a gun, or were you kind of like inside the vehicle? Wait, were you dismounted, or were you in a vehicle?
I was in a vehicle.
Okay.
We had what's that shit called? We had MRAPs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the 4x4s though. Like you got the big Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like 6 wheels. You had like a couple of those. And between each, I would say each truck, so you have like maybe 5 trucks, and then you'd have like a Buffalo, and you have 5 trucks, and then you'd have an MRAP, and then it'll split it out. But it would normally be like maybe like 50, 60 trucks sometimes 100 trucks.
Yeah.
It used to be long convoys. Like, it was a lot of shit. And we had a couple hets out there. We had some good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
yes, your head's on a swivel.
Yeah, my head is on a swivel, and I'm freaking the fuck out. And at this point, me and Lynn are not really friends, but he would make sarcastic, like, fucking gestures at me, and I could sense that he knew that I was afraid. And
this was after the scuffle y'all had, right?
Yeah, this is after the fight. Like,
okay.
Shit, if I can remember, like, I'm sure we still had bruises. Like, we still have bruises, but we're out there, and then he comes to me, and he's just like, or we stopped, we dismounted, we got everything, doing the perimeter sweep and everything, and he comes to me, and he's just like, yo, don't fuck up. And I'm like, and at this point I'm like, yo, like, at this point I'm ready to drop the guns, and like we start fighting again, but I'm like, he's like, yeah, don't fuck up. And I was like, you don't fuck up. And all of a sudden you just hear a fucking loud boom, like it just. So if we're on the right side of the vehicle, like maybe like 10, 15, maybe 20 vehicles up, on the left side, you just hear a loud boom. And I can remember, like, it's funny, you see these movies where like something really loud happens and you hear the ringing in the air. I feel like that shit is real, man.
Yeah.
Things go in slow motion. It was just like so weird. And right after he told me don't fuck up, that happened. And we're like kind of going at each other. That shit happened. And all of a sudden, like, it's like Mario and Luigi, bro. Like, we got back to back. We did everything we needed to do. We got down in the prone position, tried to figure out where it was coming from. And after that, that was it. So that was just like a roadside bomb. Nobody got hurt. Kind of bruised up a few trucks, I think.
I'm familiar with that sound though. It's like, it's different. The sound is also different than that you would hear in the movies. It's like a very thuddy.
Yes.
It's kind of eerie. Like, something's
something
blowing up bad.
You don't know exactly what it is. You don't know what that sound was.
Yeah.
But it's just like, what you don't even, and
then the plume of smoke and dust will come up too.
Yeah. As an audio person, that frequency is never replicated again. It's like, holy shit, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. It's the ultimate bass drop.
It is. It is magnificent and scary at the same time. But I remember, like, instantly we snapped together, and every fucking piece of hate that I had for him literally went out the window right then and there. And it was the same thing. Like, so that was a weird situation for us. Like that literally brought us together. From that point on, any truck that I was in, he was in, and we always did things together. We always had each other's back. It was uncanny how some type of chaotic moment like brought us together. So we used to, every once in a while we would swap out of the turret. And it was one time, this was a couple months later, almost at the end of the deployment. You know, regular shit, go outside the wire. We hit a bomb, but it hit on the right side. And in the MRAPs, they had like these little seats, little bucket seats, and you put your feet up on it's like a rail. You put your feet up on the rail. It was like almost like you were suspended. You never had your feet on the floor. It was a weird looking seat type, more like that was kind of like a buffalo, where like in the back, you know how you're sitting back to back and then you got your feet up, and Lynn had his right arm on the windowsill, and on that side he took contact, and it snapped his tendon in his arm, and like he took it like a G, man. He was like, yo, I know something is wrong, but you got to get me out of this because I can't. He was right-handed, so he couldn't shoot. He couldn't, and he took it like a champ, man. And when we got back, when we found out what happened to him, he had to be medevac. They sent him to Germany for surgery. And like, I feel like when he left, we had because we got extended too. Like the unit that was coming to replace us didn't finish their training in time, and Riptor was at like 2 weeks extra, and it was some crazy shit. We ended up staying for like another month and a half.
That's like the most disheartening fucking thing to be told.
Right. Because at that point in time, we had already moved to transition tents. We had moved out of the hard shelters because we were in chews, 2-man chews. And we moved out of the hard shelters into tents, and now we're living out of a fucking bag, waiting for the new unit. And we ended up staying in those tents, those GP large tents, for like fucking maybe like a month and a half, 2 months before we left. But when Lynn left, bro, like it was ironic. I felt like I lost my best friend. And when I got back in the States, because it's funny, like when he left, we didn't hear from him. I found out he had a wife and a son, and just ironically, I was at Womack Hospital in Fort Bragg. I was at Womack Hospital, and I saw something. I just something told me to just say Lynn, and I said Lynn loud enough. And when he turned around and looked at me, it was like fucking reuniting with a best friend, bro. It was awesome. He no longer has use of his right arm, but yeah, the vibration from the bomb snapped his tendon, tore everything in his arm.
That was Stuart Campbell, and what I took away from that was that culture shock under the right circumstances can lead to enlightenment and growth. Now, get your ass out there and get shot at with someone that you hate. You'll love each other. If you're digging what we're doing here in this podcast, you should rate and subscribe to it. And if you want to learn more about Stu, check out the website at www.intheaterpodcast.com. Allegedly, after World War II, a German general said, "The reason the American Army does so well in wartime is that war is chaos, and the American Army practices it on a daily basis. So stay chaotic, and see you next time."